Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Jude here from Spain Speaks with an update video today, feedback video, go through some of the comments on recent videos, have a little bit of a chat about some of those, an update also about what's happening in the country at the moment, and there's plenty of things happening in the country as we speak. Different autonomous communities, different regions here in Spain trying to implement new measures in order to get this virus under control, which is proving to be a very, very difficult thing to do. The central government seems content to allow the autonomous communities to handle the situation, and we can see that there are different things being done around the country. So, for example, as we've seen in recent times, Navarra has done something different to, let's say, La Rioja, and different places are trying different things in order, as I said, to get the health situation under control. Catalonia decided to close bars and restaurants. Other places around Spain, you can still go to bars and restaurants. And more announcements have been made today by some autonomous communities, namely Asturias and Castilla y León. In fact, Asturias wanted to go into a home confinement situation. They wanted to lock everybody down in their homes for the next 15 days, but the central government, or the health minister of the central government, Mr. Illa, came out yesterday and said that that was not going to happen. So apparently Asturias is not going to be able to enforce that lockdown on the population there, but what they've decided to do instead is shut down all non-essential services. So they've decided to shut down bars, restaurants, shopping centres, and everything that they consider to be non-essential. Now, I don't know what the criteria used there for non-essential businesses is. I'm sure there must be some type of standard, but if you are working in one of these non-essential services in Asturias, then obviously you're going to be doing nothing for the next 15 days. And as I mentioned, Castilla y León has also come out today and said they're going to shut down these non-essential services also in that autonomous community. And the case of Asturias is an interesting one. Up until recently, they had very low incidence rates. In fact, during the summer months, it was the part of Spain that had the lowest amount of cases. And everybody was saying, what's going on there? How have they managed to control the virus? Well, now apparently the situation is out of control there and the numbers are worse than in Madrid. So go figure about that one. So it seems clear that the government has no plan to implement a nationwide lockdown again, and they're not even allowing some autonomous communities to do something similar. And the health minister, as I said, came out yesterday and said that this is not part of the government's planning. They want to see what happens over the next 15 days or so. They want to see if the curfews and the mobility restrictions have any effect, and then they'll decide if stricter measures need to be taken. And the president of Madrid today said that mandatory home confinement, at least in this part of Spain, is a last resort option, and things would need to get pretty bad in order for that to take place. So it looks as though we're going to have to put up with the curfews for the time being, and of course the perimeter confinements that we have in some cities around Spain, and the mobility restrictions as well. And most likely in coming days, we'll see more and more bars, restaurants, shopping centres, and things like that shutting down around the country. Now, there were lots of comments in the comment section about the rioting that has been taking place in Spain over the last couple of days. I think it was mainly at the weekend. I think it was on Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I haven't read anything in today's press about rioting around the country. And of course, we saw that in some places that rioting also turned into looting. A few people decided that it would be a good idea to break shop windows, steal things. I think there was a Lacoste shop in one particular city that was looted, and I think a Decathlon sports store was also looted. I saw some images on the television of people smashing the windows of one of those sports stores and riding out on bicycles, and apparently one of the guys who stole a bicycle decided that it would be a good idea to try and sell that bike on Wallapop. Wallapop is one of these online marketplaces where you can buy and sell things. He thought he'd be able to make a quick buck by selling that stolen bike, but the police were informed of what he was trying to do, and he ended up getting arrested. So that goes to show you what type of people were rioting at the weekend. And in the comment section, the debate was pretty divided. There seemed to be a few people in favour of rioting. There seemed to be a few people against rioting. So I'd say that the debate was fairly split down the middle. A few people were saying that what do we expect? This was always going to happen. When you take away people's livelihoods, this is what happens. Obviously, there were also people condemning the violence. Some people were asking who the rioters were, and those were questions that were also being asked in Spain over the weekend. Who were the rioters? Did they belong to the extreme right? Did they belong to the extreme left? Were they supported by political groups? Were they thugs? Were they vandals? Were they football hooligans? Nobody really knows. Somebody suggested that maybe they're just teenagers that are upset with the curfew and not being able to have their weekend botellón, where they go out into the street, get together with their friends, drink a lot of alcohol and go a little bit crazy. Take that possibility away from them and they might decide to riot. And it does seem to be the case that a lot of people rioting over the weekend were angry teenagers. And let's put it into perspective as well, that although there were riots taking place in various cities around Spain, they weren't huge groups of people. I think the biggest group of people was something like 100, maybe in Leon or maybe in Logroño there was 100, maybe 150 people protesting and rioting. So we're not talking huge numbers of people, similar to the images you can see in other places where riots have taken place recently. And it's highly likely that they're not organized, but they're just jaded, unemployed youth, because as we saw in yesterday's video, youth unemployment currently in the country sits at just over 40%. But youth unemployment is not a new problem in Spain. It's always been a problem. In fact, during the last crisis in some parts of Spain, youth unemployment topped 50%. So that was one person out of every two between the ages of 16 and 25 who didn't have a job. And I'm not sure what the situation is when it comes to youth unemployment and the dole. I think I did hear something about a payment a few years ago. I think the previous government said that they were going to implement a scheme. They were going to call it the Paga Ni Ni. Well, that's how it was known informally. Here in Spain, they have a term for young people that don't work and don't study. They call them ni estudia, ni trabajo. And there was some type of scheme, I think, set up in order to give people a small payment every month to help them get by. I think it was around 400 euros a month, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And I think it's still in place. I haven't heard anything about it disappearing. I also don't know if this payment's easy to get or whether they make it difficult. Sometimes they can make it a bit difficult for people to access these payments. So I'm not really up to date on that. But if anybody has information on this youth payment scheme, please leave it in the comment section below. And let's be honest, for young people, there doesn't seem to be a lot of jobs out there. Remember, Spain is a country that still has a lot of immigrants coming in, but young people can't get work. So I don't know what the problem is there. There must be a problem in the system somewhere, because it doesn't seem logical that you have people coming in from other countries to fill jobs when you've got 40% of your youth unemployed. Maybe they just don't want to work. I don't know. And let's be honest, with 400 euros, there's not really much you can do anyway, except participate in these botellons at the weekend with your mates. Maybe buy some drugs, buy plenty of alcohol, go out and have a good time and do what young people do and get paid for it. I imagine that the majority of young people, if they're getting this payment, are still living with their parents. So it's 400 euros in their pocket every month, and all they have to do is say that they are looking for work. So unfortunately, things not looking good for a lot of young people in this country, but hopefully one of the priorities of this government is going to be to get young people into employment, to get them into some type of training and hopefully have a better future, because we can't have any more lost generations in this country, in my opinion. Now, I saw somebody in the comment section ask me about Spanish lessons. I said a few months ago that I was going to start doing some type of Spanish lessons so that people can improve their Spanish. I'm still planning on doing that. I just have to organize it. I have to get a plan together. This past month has been a little bit busy. I started with a new project, which is taking up a lot of my time. And of course, putting out these videos on a daily basis also takes up a lot of my time. Somebody also suggested that I do a Q&A session. I'm going to organize that as well, because I know there's lots and lots of people that have questions and would like to have some of those questions answered. I'll do my best to get that organized in the next couple of weeks, and the Spanish lessons, hopefully I can get them organized in the near future. It's just a question of me getting all of the Spanish that I have floating around in my brain organized and getting it out there in a format that people can enjoy. So hopefully I can get this organized in coming weeks. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.